shot for the calendar. This is probably the most unusual bike that certainly we've ever had in the calendar, but probably one of the most unusual bikes, if not the most unusual bike in the country right now. It is Simon Solomon's, my good friend. He collaborated on it with his great bike builder, Eddie, and I'm going to ask them to come in and take it away because, as you can see, they are probably the only people that can give you a good idea about this rear-wheel drive bike. Come on in, guys.
Bob.
Eddie, Simon,
Good to see you.
this is an unbelievable piece of machinery. It's futuristic. How in the world does it work?
Well, it's actually front-wheel drive and rear steer.
Rear steer.
Steers from the
I
back,
misspoke.
drives from the front. Just because we wanted to change up.
Yeah, just kind of boring.
Boring, wanted to do something
Staring
different.
from the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just flipped everything. The front's, although it has suspension, it doesn't turn. It is stationary. The rear is what turns, and it also has suspension. So
None of you have ever seen a bike like this. How did the concept come about?
well, I got real bored with building bikes and just wanted to do something totally out of the norm. And so this is what I came up with, to just do something completely crazy and swap the ends and put the fat tire on the front and the little tire on the back.
How did the concept come about, though? I know you wanted to build something different, Eddie, but this concept is so radical, and it's such a beautiful piece of machinery. Did you start out by drawing it up, or just concept in your mind? How did you come up with this?
Yeah, it started with a sketch. I drew a big fat tire, and I drew a little skinny tire, and then drew some sketched bodywork over it. Knowing the front tire didn't have to turn, I could really be a lot sleeker on the front, being there's no forks, no traditional front end. I could really get creative with the sheet metal, and of course, since it didn't have to have all the clearances of turning, I could make the sheet metal just basically go over top of the tire, like a fender on a car.
What do you have down here?
This is the front shock system for the front end. These are air shocks.
So you've got a horizontal shock system.
Yeah, these are actually by Custom Cycle Controls, and these are actual soft-tail shocks that would be, on the back of a standard soft-tail motorcycle. And there's another pair of these up under this bodywork that is attached to the rear swing arm. So there's two sets of those on here, both, of course, air operated. So
I know everyone's going to be curious about this piece. Can you walk them through what you did there?
Well, I originally was going to try to make my own transmission housing that went in the front up here. So, and custom make the entire primary system going forward on the other side, so the transmission was going to be up here, and it was just going to be a straight shaft out of my own custom housing into the swing arm. But that was going to just be very complicated and take a long time, so I just opted for a standard Baker transmission, right side drive. And instead of the chain, which would normally come out here and go to the rear tire, it goes up here to a gear. There's a oil bath gearbox up under the sheet metal, and this chain just turns a shaft, turns another sprocket that drives that shaft into the gearbox that's on the other side, which turns a ring and pinion gear that turns the power forward, and it is attached to a drive shaft that goes down to the swing arm.
And how do you shift this bike?
Standard, just like a normal Harley.
Yeah, internal shift.
Internal shift. So you're actually shifting it right over here on the left side.
This is an internal clutch. The cable goes inside, just like the throttle. It's an internal throttle cable that goes in the handlebar. But the shifting is just with your foot, standard 5-speed, just like a standard Harley Davidson.
And how long did it take to build this?
4 years.
Only 4 years.
Yeah. Essentially, every part to this motorcycle is one-off. It's all sheet metal. There's no fiberglass or anything on it. I mean, from the spacers onto, to give you an idea, the jig to build so that we could build the frame took 2 months to make the jig. Now, the other important thing is, not only, I mean, as we see, it's a marvel from a engineering standpoint, it's really, in our minds, it's a piece of art. It's taking a concept like and turning it into something that is really special. And although it's a piece of art, in our minds, it's moving art. It does work, it does ride.
How many hours do you and Simon have in creating this bike?
Well, although it took 4 years from start to finish, we didn't work on it every day. We stopped, started, and stopped, and started. But altogether, there's right at plus or minus 2,200 hours in it.
And you're going to sell this for $16,000, did I hear?
Well, actually, it was just in the Rob report, and they asked the same question, how much we sold it for, and we said, you know, $250,000 will do. So if somebody has $250,000 that they could come to the party with, they could walk out with it.
And there you go. If you want $250,000 motorcycle, this is the guy to go to, or Simon is the guy to finance it. Again, the most unbelievable motorcycle we've ever seen. Thanks so much. We appreciate you sharing this bike with us today. This is a true